Hello YouTube, thought I'd do another video here. If you've been following my channel in my videos, and I'll post the links in the description below, part 1, part 2 of this interface board that I've been working on. It started out to be for handheld. Then I added mobile radios, so it could do handheld and mobile radios. Now I added, hopefully everything goes well, repeater. I can take 2 mobile radios and make a repeater. So this interface board is now a repeater controller board and an interface board all in one. Now let me explain a few things here before I get into this video. And the one thing I want to explain that you may be wondering, well, why would I want to hook up a handheld or one mobile radio to a computer? Why would I want to do that? And one reason is so that you can get Zello, date and time, weather announcements, and repeater ID. But that lets you get any repeater online as long as you have your handheld or your one mobile radio program that repeater frequency and you're within range or within distance of that repeater. You can get any repeater online. Doesn't matter if it's ham, doesn't matter if it's business band, doesn't matter GMRS, whatever ones you can get online. Now, before you do that, though, if it's not your repeater, make sure you get permission from the repeater owner, obviously, first. But that lets you get any repeater online. Now, doing the handheld gives you a cheaper option to get a repeater online. But if you need more oomph or more power, then you can use a mobile radio. The beauty of this board, and I'm hoping things keep going well, no radio modifications, no VOX. Plug and play into a handheld, do a couple adjustments, done. That's the beauty of this board. That's what my goal hopefully will be. Same with the mobile radios. We don't need to get a mobile radio that's got a DB9 or a data port in back of it. That just opens up more radio possibilities. New, used, you can buy a 15-watt radio, a 25-watt radio, a 50-watt radio, whatever you can get cheap. You can pick a radio, and you does not need to have a data port in back of it. That's the nice thing about it. So now I added this. I built another circuit so that now we can take 2 mobile radios and make them into a full repeater. Again, could be a 15-watt radio, could be a 20-watt radio, could be a 50-watt radio, but the radios don't need any data ports. You just need a microphone and external speaker. And I'll show you that more in a minute here. Now, I like to also mention, I keep kind of forgetting to mention this in videos, when I do a projects, I post my email address in the description below. And if the project goes the way I want it to go, and I'm ready, so to speak, to have it available, I got to see if there's enough interest for the project for me to continue or it's not feasible. So if you would want to help with that, to make sure a project does come to light, so to speak, share my YouTube channel on Facebook, on forums. I would appreciate that. And if you have been doing that, then I'd like to thank you for doing that. So that will help hopefully get more interest so that a project, if all goes well, comes to light. Now it brings me to the next point I want to mention here. And sometimes I forget to mention this in my projects and as I do this. Now, I've been adding more functions to this board. Now, so far, it's been working really well. But I am not done with this board yet. I have to build the sound circuit yet. So there'll be no sound in this video. We're going to be testing key ups. But I don't know if these functions I've added are going to be compatible with the sound. Is there going to be any issues or anything like that until I build the sound circuit? So I'm going to try my very best to keep all these functions on the board. But sometimes there may be a function that has to be removed from the board due to other issues. And so that could happen, but I'm hoping not. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I wasn't really, truth be told, I really wasn't planning on having this board do all this. So I'm kind of winging it as I come up with circuit ideas. I haven't really sat down and really crunched it all on paper. It just kind of, oh yeah. So that's the truth of it is when I first did the handheld interface video, I sat down, drew up a schematic, looked up parts, specs, da 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 da. And I sat down, kind of really, these last two options, I haven't done that. So they seem to be working, but until I get all of it together, I'm just, saying it could be a situation I'll have to remove an option. Possible. Let's hope not. Of course, if I do, I'll let you know in the final, product if we get that far. So I want to mention that right away. So I keep forgetting to mention those things. Another thing too, that like I said, this is not going to have any sound. So the board is not ready yet. This is a prototype. But even though there's no sound circuitry, just to make sure that this circuit is not being activated by voice or background noise, my handheld, I plugged in a plug into the microphone jack, which disables the built-in microphone. That's going to make sure that I am not picking up any background noise that's making this circuit work. Now, the handheld on here also has a plug plugged into it. It's not really needed because this handheld's not going to be transmitting, but I left it on there. Now, let's explain what I have here before I forget and get too far ahead of myself. I have two mobile radios. These radios are going to be in full repeater mode because I added the repeater controller function along with the interface board, or with the interface. So this top radio is the transmit radio. You put it to the transmit frequency, we plug in the mic cable into it. Now, I'm going to mention this before I forget. I have this on low power because I'm so close. Same with the handhelds, they're on low power because I'm way too close. So I don't know if you'll see that on display when it keys up. When this radio keys up, there'll be a red light. I will be turning off the light when I do this test so you can see these lights better. But this is a TYT 9000 radio that I'm using for transmit. I am not using the DB9 adapter in the back of it, as you can tell. The bottom radio is a receive radio. This is the Retevis RT97S. Again, I am not using a data port. I'm only using the external speaker jack in the back of the radio. That is it. So, technically speaking, obviously I don't have every radio here to test this, but if this goes the way I'm hoping, technically speaking, we'd be able to take any mobile radio that does not have a data port and make it into a repeater by using the mic jack. And as long as that radio has an external speaker jack, we can do this configuration. It could be a 15 watt radio, a 25 watt radio, a 50 watt radio, doesn't matter. New, used, doesn't matter, technically speaking. So that's kind of the purpose of this. I'm not using any data ports, no VOX, no radio modifications. Now you're probably wondering, well, great. Are you going to have cables available if everything goes well? And no, I'm not going to have cables available because I don't need to, because there's a screw terminal on the board that will have markings that you can match up your connections to that terminal. And you're probably thinking, well, great, I don't know how to make this cable right here. Don't worry about it. I don't have the tool either. I just took a Cat5 cable, I cut the end off it, I stripped the wires back. This is just a regular RJ45 connector. It's like your internet cable at home. You probably got a whole bunch of them laying around. Just cut off the other end, voila. Now for the external speaker, that's only two wires. Ground and speaker out. So one wire goes to ground, one goes to speaker out. Now the mic ones, you'll have to get the pin outs. You're probably wondering, well, how do I know what pin is what in the radio? Well, owner's manuals have, well, not all of them, but some of them have a pin out in the owner's manual. So you can go online, punch in your model of your radio, and look in the owner's manual. If you do not see it in there, you'll have to email the manufacturer who made your radio. Say, hey, I have model blah, blah, blah. I need the mic pin out. They should be able to tell you that fairly easy. So that's how you, and then you just match it. If pin 1 is PTT, you hook pin 1 up wire to the PTT on here. I'll get more in detail in the videos about how to do that later. If this all goes the way it's supposed to do, I will have much better details. But for now, that's how I'm doing it in this. So I'm hoping that when I turn off the light, you'll see the red light on here key up when this radio is being keyed up. You'll see the green light on here. This radio is now programmed to this repeater. This is a repeater now. This is a full repeater. These two radios are repeaters now. This radio is programmed to this repeater. This radio is programmed to this repeater. So when I turn off the light and I key up, I'm hoping you'll see the red light on here. I don't know if you're going to see the display or on the display here. I don't know if you're going to see the receive signal. I'm hoping you will. If not, that's what this radio is here. You'll see the green light on here. Now, I do have this radio on low power, and I have this on low power due to I'm way too close. So I'm trying to help with interference, and it doesn't cut off my microphone that I'm using to make this video. That's why I have these on low power. Now, I am running a duplexer on the bottom here. The duplexer lets you hook up one antenna. Lets you hook up two radios to one antenna. Do you need to use a duplexer? No, you don't need to, but you're going to need two antennas and two coaxes. Then you got to make sure those antennas are at least 30 feet apart minimum. Even at that, there's no guarantee that you will not have any receive sensitivity issues, also known as desense. So you should probably get a duplexer to avoid all that. But I have a duplexer down here. So both of these rails are hooked up to a duplexer. I do not have a antenna hooked up. I have a dummy load hooked up, which you cannot see. It's off camera. I have these rails plugged into a power supply that you cannot see. It's off camera. Matter of fact, that power supply is a 30 amp, $25 power supply. You can adjust the voltage, so you can adjust it to 13.8 volts. 30 amp, $25. Go to my forum. I have a link in the on my forum for that. Amazon, real cheap. I've been using it for over a year now. It works great. It's got a built-in fan and everything. So that's what I'm using to power these radios. Now, I have a tablet here that's on my repeater Zello test channel. When the Zello is receiving a signal, you will see this green, this circle will turn green. The outside of it will turn green. My interface board, I should mention too, has two lights. One red light for receive, one light for, the red light's for transmit, the green light is for receive. That's been a long day. So you'll see those go. Now, what I did here is, since this is a repeater controller board and an interface, I had to make a way to tell the board that we're going to use two radios. We want to use it as a repeater controller board, is what I'm saying. And to do that, you flip a switch. That's how easy it is, at least for now, unless something happens where I got to change that. But you flip a switch. There's a little switch on the board you flip. When you don't need it to be in repeater mode, you want to use a handheld or one mobile radio, you make sure that switch is off. So that's what I'm going to try to go for here. That's the thought, at least for now. It seems to be working for now. So that's how I did that. Like I said, I have these programmed to this repeater. Microphone built in, disconnected. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to call up Zello. We're going to put this on the screen. Now, I'm going to explain here what we got here. If you look at, this is date and time and weather announcements. This is Zello. The Cuckoo Bird will go behind the shutter only when a radio is keyed up. Whether it's a mobile or a handheld, that's when the Cuckoo Bird will go behind the shutter. The purpose of that is for, we don't want date, time, and weather announcements to talk over people when they're on the radio. So the software will see that, that the cuckoo bird is behind the shutter, and it will hold off until the radio is free to be used, or the repeater, or whatever the case, is free to be used, and then it will go ahead and transmit if the time is up. Now it's only for radios. As for Zello, if you have the option selected, and I already showed you how to do that in another video, I'm not going to show you now, but if you have it selected to play your date, time, and weather announcements and repeater ID over Zello, how do you make it so it does not key up over people on that? Is that when you set up your Zello repeater channel, do not make the repeater moderate. Then it cannot key up over people. That's how you solve that. So that is how you do that. So now what I'm going to do here is, like I mentioned, and maybe I haven't, this does not use no radio modifications, no VOX. Now VOX, if you know what VOX is, it's voice activation. And it works, but if anyone pauses in their conversation, it will drop the transmission because it detects there's no sound. This does not use that at all. Like I said, no radio modifications, no VOX. And I'm going to show you that it does not use VOX. I'm going to show you proof of that here in a minute. So now we go to the Zello here. When it receives from a radio, the receive part here, the status will go from waiting to active, sending no to yes. When I key up Zello with a tablet, you're going to see the transmit here. You're going to see status going from waiting to active to receive no to yes. Okay? That's what you're going to see. Now, when I do this, since I have this as a full repeater now, I'm going to explain. I'm going to turn off the light here, and hopefully you'll be able to see all this. When I key up a handheld, you're going to see the red light on here come on the top radio up here. And then the receive radio, you're going to see it. Hopefully you can see this in the screen, or on your screen here. You'll see the bar go up that's receiving a signal. If you cannot see that, you'll see the green light on this handheld key up. The receive and key up are going to happen at the same time. That's what a repeater does. It gets the signal and transmits it back out right away. So when I keep a handheld, you're going to see that. Then on top of it, you're going to see the green on here that Zello is receiving it, and you'll see it on the screen under the receive. Will go from waiting to active. Now I'm not going to talk because I want to even though I got the microphone disabled, I am not going to talk when I key this up. So we're going to key this up, and after I unkey, I do have a simplex repeater also running. If I haven't mentioned it, I like running the simplex repeater because it copies what I do, so it helps me check the circuit again without me having to rekey up a radio. So I do have that running. So when I unkey this radio, my simplex, which is off camera, is also going to key up this repeater. The simplex is a handheld radio hooked up to a laptop running repeater software. That's what my simplex is. It's another handheld. So let's key this up. I'm not going to talk. Now my simplex is going to copy me. There you have it. If that was VOX, it would have dropped that connection within a couple seconds. So there, it's working good so far. Now I'm going to key up the tablet here. And what you're going to see happen is you're going to see this radio transmit. You'll see a green light on this radio. And you'll see, if I haven't mentioned, I don't remember if I did or not, my interface board do have lights. The red one is for transmit, and the green's for receive. You'll see the red light. So I'm going to key up this. When I unkey this, my simplex is going to retransmit it. Now the cuckoo bird will not go behind the shutter when I key up this tablet, but it will when my simplex keys up, because that's a radio. There you go. Now, if you didn't notice, when I keyed up my tablet, the Zello software on the transmit, which is the top one here, which is right here, this went from waiting to active, receiving no to yes. When I key up a tablet, when a radio is keyed up, whether it's my handheld or a mobile or my simplex, that will go to the receive here. And then you'll see the waiting going from to active and then sending no to yes. And then the cuckoo bird goes behind the shutter when a handheld or mobile radio is keyed up. So let's go ahead and do that again. I'm going to do the tablet. You can watch that, and then you'll see all the LED lights like I mentioned before. Now my simplex is going to copy me. Cuckoo bird behind the shutter. There you go. There you have it. Seemed like it's work, and that again, if that was VOX, the radio would have cut off. As you saw, it was a good 10 seconds, if not longer. I didn't really watch the time that close, but it would have cut off. So far, so good. So I'm hoping that things keep going the way they are, so I can keep continuing this. I'm hoping I can keep all these functions in here. I still got to build the sound circuit yet. Let me turn on the light here. I still got to build the sound circuit yet on the interface board. There's no sound, as you know, but that's hopefully will be next. But so far, so good. Again, if you're interested in this type of interface board, shoot me an email. I'll post my email address below. Please share my videos. I appreciate that when you do that. And thank you if you have done that. I appreciate that. Any questions or comments, please post them down below. Please subscribe. Thank you and have a good day.